I'm Seve and I've been living a more minimalist life for around 8 years now. And there's a lot I have learned along the way. Some of it was expected, but other parts I really didn't see coming or realize I would need to face. So in this video, I want to share 10 things I wish I had known before I started. Things that give a more honest picture of what this journey can bring up. Let's get into it. Number 1, minimalism helped me see how often I was choosing out of fear. Before minimalism, I really thought I was living by my values. I believed my preferences came from self-awareness, and I think many people feel that way too. You think you know what you want, you assume your lifestyle is a reflection of who you are, but once you simplify your life, you start to see something else. Minimalism helps you see what is underneath everything. When the noise is gone, what is left can be more revealing than you expect. It slowly became clear that a lot of my choices were actually shaped by fear. Fear of being judged, fear of failing, fear of letting someone down. Even my clothing, my career path, the things I ate and drank on a daily basis, what I did in my free time, all of it had layers of fear underneath. Sometimes I wanted to feel safe more than I wanted to feel fulfilled. And I don't think you can simplify your outer life, like your home or all this stuff, in an honest way without eventually facing your inner one. So minimalism forces that kind of reflection. It makes you stop and ask, what am I really choosing and why? It's not always easy, but the more you see it, the more you can start to rebuild your life from the truth, from self-love, not fear. The second thing I wish I had known was that less stuff doesn't always mean less stress. A lot of people think that once they declutter, they will feel better right away. That if their space feels light, they will feel light too. And I get that because I thought that way too. Having a minimalist home often looks like the answer to stress or burnout, but what I learned is the stuff was only one part of it. Decluttering doesn't automatically fix your boundaries or how you manage your time. There's work stress, social overwhelm, constant input, and those don't disappear just because your shelves are empty. Honestly, I have sometimes felt even more pressure to have it all together now, like after the clutter was gone. Like now that I consider myself a minimalist, I should feel calm all the time. And when that doesn't happen, it's easy to wonder if you're doing something wrong. I think too many people aren't really simplifying, they are just reorganizing the same overwhelm, trying to stay on top of everything without ever stopping to ask where it's all coming from or if any of it actually needs to be there. And that's why the next point is so important. What you actually want isn't less stuff. At some point, people start to realize that minimalism isn't really about owning less. It's about wanting something more meaningful behind it. Sure, decluttering helps. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but the real shift happens when you stop asking how much and start asking why. Because what most of us want isn't a number, it's a feeling. We want peace, alignment, life that feels like it fits who we are, not one that constantly pulls us in the wrong direction. And minimalism happens to be one of the clearest ways to uncover what's not working in your life. And once those things are gone, you finally have space to see what actually matters. That's when minimalism becomes less of a goal and more of a foundation. Not something you aim for, but something that supports how you want to live. And that leads directly into the next part, which is there's more clutter in your head than you think. We often keep track of things in our head, make little mental lists throughout the day, and set reminders we never actually check. Over time, this starts to build up, and having 100 open tabs in our heads makes everything feel heavier than it needs to be. Having one clear, reliable place to hold it all makes things feel a lot lighter. That's why I've been using a proper organization tool, Monday.com, which is also kindly sponsoring this video. Monday.com is basically an all-in-one workspace that helps you stay organized across different areas of life and work. You can track tasks, plan projects, set reminders, and actually see what's going on instead of holding it all in your head. I use it for a few things. I track my personal and business finances in here, so I always know what I am spending and where. For example, I can easily see here that last month I made around 3,166 euros with my channel, and my expenses were 3,717 euros. So I actually ended up losing money this month, but that was to be expected since I bought a new camera. I have also automated recurring bills, so I don't have to do the same things over and over each month. And I'm also using it for a project I'm currently working on with someone. I can assign tasks, set deadlines, and see what's in progress. It's a great platform for shared projects, especially when you want to keep things clear without constant messaging back and forth. Once things are organized like this, it's hard to go back to scattered notes or trying to remember everything. You can try Monday.com for free using the link below, so go check it out. Number 5, you will start to notice how loud the world really is. Once life slows down, the outside world doesn't feel the same anymore. Busy streets, loud stores, crowded feeds, all of it hits differently when your own life feels simpler and more balanced. What used to be background noise now can feel overwhelming. You start noticing how overstimulating everything is, how much pressure there is to stay busy and productive. Even conversations feel different. You want to have real conversations, not useless small talk or things that feel fake. You stop reaching for things that once seemed exciting because they no longer match your energy or values. And the more you notice how loud the world is, the more clarity you gain around what actually supports you. These days, I honestly don't think I could live in a big city anymore, even though I used to think that that would be super cool. The constant movement, noise, and crowds, it would wear me down so fast. The next one is, minimalism doesn't erase all your wants. You might think minimalism will make you feel above it all, that once you have let go of clutter, comparison, craving, and consumer pressure will just disappear. At least I used to think that. But the truth is, those feelings still show up. You might still want the new thing, the upgrade, the lifestyle someone else has. That old version of you, the one who might have reached for stuff to feel better, doesn't completely vanish. Sometimes you just miss the distraction, the mindless browsing, the small dopamine hits that used to fill your day. And also there are moments where you will feel behind again, like you are missing something, like you should be further ahead and not just live an ordinary minimalist life. So minimalism doesn't erase all your wants and all these problems. It doesn't make you immune to pressure. That voice, the one that says that you need to buy that thing even if you don't really need it, is still there. The difference is just that that voice doesn't lead you anymore. You get better at noticing it without acting on it. That's the difference. So you learn to sit with the feeling instead of trying to fix it with something new. Number 7, minimalism will change your relationships. One thing I didn't expect was how much simplifying my life would affect the people in it. You think being more intentional and having more time available will bring you closer to others, and sometimes it does, but first it shows you what was never really working. You start to notice who was in your life just out of habit. You might grow apart from certain friends or realize the connection was never that deep to begin with. And if you live with others, things get even more real. You will have to compromise on stuff, space, and routines. You will want less and they might still want more. But here's the good part, the relationships that stay often grow deeper. You become more present, more open, and more intentional, not just with your things, but with your time and energy too. And if this social part of minimalism is something you are navigating right now, I have made a full guide on this called Simple Living with Non-Minimalists, the ultimate guide. You'll find the link to it in the description. You will hit a plateau, and that might not be a bad thing. When I first got into minimalism, I thought the process would always keep going, more simplifying, more refining, more breakthroughs. I assumed that there would always be something new to tweak or optimize, and I really liked that. But after a while, something shifted. The space was clear, the systems were working. I wasn't decluttering anymore. I was just living. This happened to me around a couple of years ago, I would say, a few years ago. The excitement had faded and minimalism stopped feeling like a thing I was doing. It just became how life is. At first, of course, this felt very strange. I wondered if I had lost the momentum or if I should be just doing more. It almost felt too still. But over time, I realized that that was the result. I had done the work. The noise was gone. The constant adjusting had settled. And what was left was space, not for minimalism, but for life. But of course, accepting that there was not much to do anymore is not always that easy, especially if you have been doing it for years. And that leads us into the next point, which is it's very easy to go overboard. At some point, it's easy to think that continuing to let go means you are on the right path, that stopping might mean you are slipping. So you keep going. You let go of things that were actually working because you feel like you should just let go of more. You start simplifying things that don't need to be simplified. You chase that feeling of progress, even when there's nothing left to fix. But minimalism without flexibility starts to feel like its own kind of clutter. The line between discipline and obsession gets blurry. You lose touch with what actually feels good and helpful because you are too focused on staying on track. I am glad I noticed this before it went too far. I never got to the point of letting go just to prove something to somebody, but I can fully see how tempting it is. Once you get used to that feeling of progress, it's very hard to stop. So sometimes remember to ask yourself, does this still support me, or am I just trying to control everything? Number 10, minimalism isn't the finish line. It's just the reset button. So yeah, minimalism is not the end. The point was never just to have less. It was to make space for something more meaningful, to find honest answers to the deeper questions that come up, like, what do I want to give my time to? What kind of life do I want to build from here? What kind of pace feels right for me? So don't stop at less. Arrive at now what? And then start creating a life that feels right for you. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to stay kind and meaningful in your own beautiful journey. Check out the resources mentioned in the video. They are linked in the description. See you in the next one.